Hello, I'm Steve. A little about myself. I'm a retired law enforcement officer with 20 years of service. I began my career in the jail, worked the road, and became an investigator. During my career, my training consisted of everything from SWAT to becoming a state certified crime scene technician. I've investigated crimes from thefts to homicides. After retiring and becoming aware of true crime and web sleuths, I started my channel for web sleuths to better understand the perspectives of law enforcement. Not only do we cover true crime, I go out into the field and assist families who have lost loved ones to homicide and their cases are considered cold. Join me as we look and bring attention to these critical cases.
Morning, everyone. I'm glad to see y'all. Appreciate everyone being here tonight, and as people watch it throughout the week, thank y'all. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Be respectful in the chat. Tonight, we're just going to be talking about whatever comes up, and there's a lot going on across the country, but most certainly we appreciate everybody being here and for the morning watch. Some of my old crew that's been around for a while. Um, uh, we know that we discuss just about whatever topic you want to discuss. As far as the news, I looked, there's not a lot going on as far as some of the main cases that we've kept up with over uh, uh, the past. There's more information coming out from the um, attorneys regarding Richard Allen and that of their beliefs in his innocence, which that is something that defense attorneys often um, absolutely fight until every appeal process is done. And it's a great process. So I have no ill or anything, and we shouldn't, for letting the attorneys run the route and their beliefs of how they proceed with that. Um, and the courts will handle those appeals processes. Um, and then, of course, the only the, regarding Luigi, I saw where the prosecution and the defense have agreed to postpone one of his court proceedings that's supposed to have been January 18th next week, and they've extended it out to February. Something to do, I think, with the federal and the state charges, because he's facing prosecution from both levels of government, and that they're going to be running parallel. But they anticipate that the state will proceed first, and we'll just have to see how that goes on that. Um, and then, of course, we have all these fires out west. Absolutely amazing, and I think there's been some reporting of some of the fires, uh, possibly arsonists being involved. I don't know if any of these real big fires that have gone out and caused such devastation are part of any type of arsonist. Hopefully not. Um, that results in property loss or human life loss. But there was some videos of I was watching last night where there were some people out there that had captured images of locals starting small fires. I don't know if they got out of control or not, but absolutely unbelievable. We never had a real big issue as far as fires on that scale here in Georgia. Now I've dealt with arsonists, been on stakeouts, and had a arsonist that was threatening to um, cause great bodily harm to firemen and first responders responding to his fires that he would start. It took us about once we found him in the area he was operating in back in the day. This is pre 911, and this arsonist would call law enforcement as soon as he set the fire. He'd run to a payphone and contact law enforcement and threaten all the first responders from the firemen to law enforcement. And one his big mistake was that he didn't have a quarter one time. This is back when it was payphone. This is all this is pre-911, pre-cell phones, pre-everything. And he didn't have a quarter, so he had to call collect to our dispatch. And sure enough, the when he was saying it was an emergency call and needed to get in touch with local law enforcement, the operator stayed on the line and heard him making the threats of arson, and she um, did a great job. Immediately started tracing the call and found what um, uh, location he was calling from. So, and the fires were pretty. The the number of fires he was doing was all within a certain distance, so we felt comfortable he was using the same phone every time on the previous calls, and so we did stake out, and of course, it turned out really great for us. I got to communicate with him during the arrest, but hopefully, what's happening in California isn't on uh, the result of that. I know that some of the fires were off the electrical grid, but anyway, here's a list of some of the five major fires that's in Los Angeles counties. Um, it's already been reported that the level of destruction is going to be the largest amount of destruction in the U.S. history. Um, and of course, we would expect so, being in some of the areas that have been attacked, that has received all this damage in those high-priced homes in California's economy. And hopefully, I've got some people that I've worked with in the past that are out there and on the West Coast, and hopefully I'll be trying to get in touch with some of them to make sure that they're um, not affected by the fires, or hopefully not, although I'm sure that all of us at one point or another have known people from California. I've traveled out there a few times prior to becoming and working for the foundation and working cold cases. I went out to California one time many years ago to pick up a prisoner. Um, Strange, everything, and that was probably 25 years ago, and absolutely a different society. Couldn't believe it. The population plus the how the demeanor and the mannerisms and the interactions with law enforcement that they had out there. It was just strange. It was totally different than what we experienced here in the South. We'd always heard in our law enforcement training that there was two different theories of law enforcement. You had East Coast and West Coast, and that was true even in the way that we worked our SWAT teams, arrest warrants, interactions, and they said that the West Coast training was different than the East Coast, and I got to see that. It was strange of how those interactions were. But anyway, there's all the damage that's occurring out there, all these fires, and you can see here on this list that some of these, we're talking about large areas. The Palisade Fire, 19,000 acres. We'll get back there. Eaton Fire, 13,000, and this is from the. Now it's probably more than that now because this is probably several hours older. The Kenneth Fire, Hurst Fire, and Lydia Fire, with the last three being relatively small, but only one of them having any type of containment, and that being the Lydia Fire, the smallest one of them at 60%. But those top two, 20,000 acres, 6% containment, unbelievable. And the Eaton Fire, 13,000 acres, no containment. Absolutely amazing. And of course, here's a map of it, and we're talking about over a lot of different miles and a lot of travel and time. And so we have to believe that some of these fires, of course, aren't connected to each other. And why would they all spring up? And so I'm sure that law enforcement be looking at that. in determining what this and why that would occur. But let me get in the chat before we get too far. See who's all going in here. Let's see. Oh, me. Let's see who we got here. Bama Sin says, I'll be snoozing away. Yeah, I'm doing the morning watch tonight. I'm doing a late show. Junior Johnson, I'll be in bed long before I had a cop tell me only paper boys and crackheads. Oh my goodness. Junior's not being kind to any of us. I don't know if we're mainly paper boys or crackheads. Farmer whoop going to try, but dang, I am whooped. Oh. And then he did a $4 super sticker. Thank you. Appreciate your support. Farmer, good to hear. Appreciate that. Sharon Edwards, hello. Hello, Paula. Oh, Dandy says, holy holy muskrats. I thought I missed this hours ago. The Cali fires are consuming my time. I spent quite a bit of time tonight looking at those myself. Mrs. Steve and I discussed some of them, and she had traveled out there a couple, 3 years ago and was near this area on business meetings, and absolutely amazing. She said it's, we discussed it was almost apocalyptic looking. That's what was happening. Curious Contrarian, hey, how are you tonight? Paula, I see monsters. That's a great name. Miranda Lee, good to see you. Good to see you, good to see you. Oh my word, I remember collect calls. Yeah, that was back in the day. And I was much younger then. And like I said, we didn't have cell phones, of course, and we only had our radio contact. And the only way that we had to make, we'd be out on patrol or something, and dispatch back in those days when there was just pay phones here and there. If there was, we was responding to a call, or if there was some type of radio traffic regarding certain types of calls, and we knew that scanners were out there, and that if we had to go to a certain priority call, they would have us call in on the phones. And of course, we had all the phones tagged with certain ID numbers, and we actually, we probably, in those days, being younger and not being acclimated to how we are now, that we just either say a name or look at a name and hit the name and it calls, we could remember those numbers in whole. And I could probably, we throughout our county, we commonly use 30 to 50 of those pay phones, and dispatch would call and we'd answer them. That way we didn't have exchange of money, and so that we could get any information regarding those calls, and it wouldn't be on any type of scanner, and giving us some privacy. Whereas now, of course, they scramble stuff, but back then they didn't. That was pre-technology. Well, I guess even then they had technologies, but not to the level we have now. Josh says, hello all, just got back from an Air Supply concert. Saw the notes on my phone. I happen to be up. Great, glad you are. Monster says, we have the Santa Ana winds now too, making the fire so much worse. Oh, I take it you're from out there. Stay careful, stay safe, be careful out there. I was watching where some of these fires were, and I don't know how far back in those canyons they started, but as they moved down those canyons, and I don't know what would cause those fires. I'm sure from the grid, I know that the first one, the Palisades, I think was off of one of the power company's grids that started them. And I don't know if that what fed the each of the fires to start. in some type of overload as they switch from one station to another. Hello, Timmy's Legacy. Good to see you. That's Barbara Hall. Josh Bosch says, these fires don't have a suspected criminal element, do they? No, not, I think one or two of them had already been identified from Power Grid, but there was certain individuals that if you go out there on YouTube, you'll see where people are filming others starting small dumpster fires, things of that nature. Is what I saw last night. And, but most certainly anyone that would start a fire during those high winds puts a lot of people at risk. So, and I think they have arrested at least one arsonist. I believe I heard this afternoon that they were talking about that someone had been arrested regarding starting fires. Don't know which fire, if it was just a individual fire or not. Miranda Lee says, could be people just out not following local burning bans and having a small bonfire in their backyard. I'm telling you, we here in the South, we have the same thing, that when we're in certain conditions, drought conditions or whatever, we just don't, you know, we follow our local bans for the fact that I remember when I was a child, we had a big forest fire, and and then you know, forestry in the summer times under certain conditions, they fly the planes here, and I'm sure they do that over all the forestries across the country. But you can watch those air patrols, especially when you're located in the area we are, and watch them fly, and they do their little circles. Yes, the Hawaii fires. You're right, Josh Posh. Exactly. As far as the devastation and seeing nothing but foundations, um, and what happened in Hawaii, absolutely tragic. But I don't know what the final death toll will be out of this. I think it will be far greater than what we expect right now. I hope not, but I can't see how it wouldn't be, because some people are going to stay and fight. Human nature. Um, the news says conditions are so severe that a fire can start from the spark of a cigarette butt. Um, now we've had on the interstate, we had where in Georgia, and I'm sure it's all the way across the country, of where cars could pull over and the catalytic converters would touch and start fires. And I expect that can happen out there also, because we had instances of that occurring here in Georgia, and you can often see it in the dry season. We had those calling cards. Yeah, the calling cards, I forgot about those. Thank you, Mustang 65. Justice for Timmy D's. Appreciate that. Holly, Shelley, been a member for 24 or 27 months. Thank you. Appreciate that. Says, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Steve, Happy New Year, and everyone. And then after the fires, we got to look at this. Tomorrow morning, or I think it's probably going to get us before tomorrow morning. I just looked at the radar a few moments ago, and it's about halfway across Alabama right now, the snow that's coming to Georgia. I hope we get snow. I do not want the ice. We're going to be near Metro Atlanta, of course, so I if I have a choice between snow and ice, I want the snow. Ice is absolutely devastating, and I don't know how many of y'all has ever been through an ice storm, um, and what ice storms can do to power grids. And but regardless of what happens here, I'm on a generator if we do lose power. But if it's snowing tomorrow morning, there's a possibility I may do a show during the if it's snowing and it's pretty. I may get up, have me some coffee, and go live, and we'll talk about what I need to do to ensure, because up here in Georgia, we don't get a lot of snow. We may see a few snowflakes every year, but typically it doesn't lay. Very rare do we have any, other than a dusting every now and then. And those dustings only typically are in shaded areas in the part of Georgia I'm in. And now, far north Georgia, they get in the higher elevations, they pretty well get snow every year, but not where I'm at. And but we do get ice there. Probably every 4 or 5 years, we get a good um, trace amount of ice, and it is absolutely dangerous. When I was a kid, we had severe, this back in the 60s, and absolutely a devastating ice storm broke a lot of timber. Um, and I think we were iced in for almost 2 weeks. Different times back then, of course, but Georgia doesn't react in the same manner that other states react as far as being prepared in the equipment. We've gotten better. I think after the snow apocalypse of Atlanta that occurred a few years ago, and then of course the that huge snowstorm that we had back. I think it was '93 because I'll always remember it. Baby Steve had been was just born, and I left Mrs. Steve home with baby Steve, who was just a few months old, and I think I worked 3 or 4 days straight. And that's the only thing that I can tell you that as far as working extended hours, snowstorms and homicides, those are the only times that you're talking about working 3 or 4 hours, 3 or 4 days nonstop, uh, very little of any sleep. Um, and couldn't do that anymore. But back when I was younger, I could work those. Uh, I could put in 48 hours easily before bedding down for a couple hours and then getting up and doing it again. But and for those snowstorms and the homicides, that's really the hardest thing as far as extended hours for law enforcement in our area. Um, and like I said, back then we did our Department of Transportation, of course, had very limited resources to bring to the to fight ice on the road, and you just have cars just parked everywhere. People would just leave them out in the road and just walk away from them in ice. Um, Now, I know people give Georgians a hard time about that. We don't know how to drive in the snow. Snow isn't the issue. It's that ice, guys. We get a lot when the ice comes, and you can't even walk. I mean, like I said, until you've experienced a good ice storm, it's absolutely unbelievable. But hopefully, I don't have that. Hopefully, I get up tomorrow morning. Although watching the pace of this storm, I think it's going to get here a little bit earlier than what they said, because this is where it was at around midnight. It was already halfway across Alabama, and so if that rate stays up, um, it's going to get here. At least some of the snowflakes will start getting here um, 2 or 3 o'clock, and I don't think it's supposed to get here till 5 or 7. So we'll have to see what happens. All right. Oh, let me get over here. See if I can get this thing working again. Josh Bosch. He says that I'm old enough that I remember buying calling cards to call my long distance high school sweetheart. That's something else. The younger people have no idea what a long distance call is. I remember uh, when it started changing, uh, you know, when we all had landlines, of course, you had long distance calls. And then as the cell phones came in and took away that the long distance calls, I thought that was amazing. You are absolutely correct, Shelley, that those fires are horrific and traumatizing and devastating. Um, I don't think we will ever, I don't know how they will recover out there. It'd be amazing how many people, um, I think they said that over 200,000 people have been evacuated so far. And now, of course, that doesn't mean 200,000 homes have been destroyed, but the hundreds and thousands of homes that have or will be destroyed, um, I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. And how will they recover? Miranda says that her cousin is in LA and he had to evacuate. I'm grateful he's safe. Absolutely. I'm glad he is. Miranda Lee says justice for Doug Till. Absolutely. Thank you. Josh says, I think Nightbot behaves. Sometimes Nightbot does act out. You gotta be careful. Mustang, thank you for the justice for Kiana, Kiera, Kirill, and Keone. I have, I have to go with floor four because I know I butchered those names, sadly. Cyber Warrior. We get ice storms up here a lot. We're used to it. We, you know, and I, I just hate them. There's nothing like it. I mean, I know y'all on the power grid up there with the ice storms. Um, are they as devastating up there with the ice storms as far as taking down the power grid? Because here in Georgia, it's it's amazing what they'll do to our power grid. That's how come I had to get a whole house generator. Um, the last time, a couple 3 years ago, we had one, and the power went out, and it was close to a week that we were without power a year or two ago, and we said we're not going to experience that again, and so we went and we had um, our generator system put in, and because we lost food and everything over that one. Um, the metropolitan areas, the cities and things, of course, um, Georgia Power will ensure they're up first. But when you're out in the woods and you're at the end of the line, you're the last one to get back on the grid. Mustang says it's snowing here from about 3 p.m. off and on all night, and tomorrow too. Yeah, I don't think if it gets here, I'm hoping it goes through relatively quick. I don't mind a good dusting of snow. I hope that's all we get. Um, and but the forecast from one weatherman to the next. Uh, they say it can be uh, 3 to 6 inches, uh, and then or from a quarter to 2 inches of ice. If there's 2 inches of ice, guys, I am not going to like that. Oh, Barbara says that they already have ice now. Couldn't get the car out. Made me so mad today. Yeah, if you're in ice, I understand that. I remember a couple of, this is from Sharon says, I remember a couple of ice storms, slid off the side of the road once sitting still at a stoplight. Thankfully in city and had to be pulled out by a wrecker. Yeah, uh, don't want to have anything to do with, one time Mrs. Steve, she was working in Metro Atlanta, and I had walked out of a business and like killed myself just trying to get across the parking lot. I had walked in, everything was fine, went out 45 minutes later and like to have broke my neck. Couldn't even, you couldn't even tell that there was ice on the ground, just a little bit damp. I like to kill myself, so I called Mrs. Steve and said, you need to come home. And she said, well, I only got like another hour to work. And I said, okay. And so when she did leave, she just, uh, I'm trying to think, did she make it home that day? She may not have. I can't remember if she made it home that time or not. Or when she did, it was hours and hours and hours later. And when she did get home, I said, what did you learn? She says that when you call and said that get home, will ice storm come home? I said, okay. 2 years later, same thing. It was a repeat. She she didn't do what she said she was going to do, and once again, hours and hours later. And but she said from that point on she would. She hadn't experienced it again, so we just have to see. Josh says, you got the powdery snow in Lubbock. Well, I hope that's what we get. I'd rather have that than anything. Uh, Cyber Warrior says that Mustang, stay warm. I can tell you this morning, when I woke up this morning, it was 18 degrees. And that's how come I had to come up to Georgia, because, we don't have, um, we're on a well system and everything. And um, our, I let the water run during this type of weather. And typically when, you know, uh, just a little drip to keep it from freezing. And so that's why I have to come up here for. And although this is extended, normally we only get cold weather for 1 or 2 nights, but we've been having below average temperatures for what, a week now? And I think it'd be next Tuesday or Wednesday before we get out of this cycle. I'm, thank you, Sharon. I'm with you. I'm on Team Sharon right now. I hope you only get a little snow and no ice. True Crime Web, do you have your travel plans set for when you're in Indianapolis? No, I was talking to a prosecutor or sending emails today, uh, and for Missouri. I've got to get in touch with some family, or a family up in Indiana also, um, and see what their plans are. Um, but I'm hoping to try to get through that part of the country late February. I'm hoping to get up there before then, but late February at the latest. I should be um, heading through both Missouri and Iowa, and if I can get the family in Indiana, also that'll be I'm gonna work for that, but it'd be at least uh, late February for sure. Oh, Joe, watching from my iPad and phone now, I can see better. Oh, me. Cyber Warrior says, I'm wearing a sweater and I got the heater running. Yeah, right now I think it's, let me tell you, let me see. Let me see what temperature is right now. It says 28 degrees. Um, and that's from wherever that weather station is. If I went out and checked my thermometer, we typically run 2 or 3 degrees colder than that. And so we're probably 26, 25 degrees right now. Oh, y'all had the party lines, Mustangs. I remember party lines used to listen in to strangers' conversations when I was a kid. My aunt had a party line. We didn't have a phone up until, oh, I guess late 70s when we moved to town for a few years. And then, of course, came back to the farm later. But yeah, my aunt had a party line. We didn't have until we got to town. And then Shelley says that she misses landlines. Josh DePosh, been a member for 26 months. Gosh, I've been around for a bit. Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate your support. Oh, man. Yes, Cyber Warrior. Yes, absolutely. Prayers for California. You have friends out there. I've been there, like I said, only a limited number of times, and um, California, beautiful country, but the earthquakes. Um, that's all I need to know is that earthquakes, and I don't really have a desire um, to spend much time out there. Miranda, father used to get mad at her because y'all was on the phone all the time. Uh, oh, Sharon, you are lucky. If you've only been about power for one day, you've been lucky. Absolutely, because I spent, I could be uh, I could teach you a lot about prepping. Uh, we spent a lot of times of not by going out and camping and stuff, but from my earliest times, I remember uh, when I was just a kid, Dad and Mom trying to keep the house. We only heated one room back then, and but we always we were off the grid before anyone knew what off the grid living was. And, but but I learned a lot about the code from my youth, so it doesn't bother me that much now. Aquarium One, hello, hi, Mr. Steve and everyone. Stay safe and warm. Absolutely, thank you. Oh my goodness. Miranda says I like to get a good 2 to 3 feet of snow for once. No, no. Anna says, here in the West, we rely on the extremely reliable old Indian weather rock. If it's white, oh God, you got me there. If it's white, it's snowing, wet, it's raining, dry and warm, sunny. Oh man, remember when they had the pet rocks? Oh God, they made a fortune selling pet rocks. Could be your weather rock. I had heard that before. Um, And actually, I think when I was coming out there, and Anna works on with us on one of our teams about making sure that because I was fearful as I was traveling west um, to come out there during certain times of the year because I was out there. Oh, I think it was um, in May. Yeah, it was in May. I don't know if it was this year or last year. It was, I know it was last year. Yeah, it was last year, May of 2024, and it was still snowing out there. And uh, man, it was cold. Absolutely amazing. Cyber Warrior says we get icy snow. I think that's what a lot of this is going to be tomorrow. I think they said that we was going to get, and I don't know. We don't get a lot of snow. They were talking about wet snow. I don't know the difference between dry snow, wet snow, and then that whatever we was going to get. There's a possibility that the sleet would come in and pack it down. Um, we get it so rare that I don't even know what they're talking about. Timmy, it's going to be 10 degrees in the morning here. Winter suck. Man, it's been several years since we've been down to 10 degrees or single digits. Oh, yeah, I will butcher any name. Steve is Lubbock, Lubbock. Lub is like tub. Okay. Or I'm probably butchering the second part, Lubbock, Lubbock. So I'm probably butchering the second part. But thank you, Josh. Oh, me. Oh, yeah. I can butcher just about any of the King's language. Oh, man. It's only 10 degrees right now in southwest Indiana. It's supposed to snow again later on today. Don't want none of that. Miranda says, I say Lubbock. I don't know. You're probably closer to it than I am, Miranda. Shelley, party line. Me too, Mr. Steve. Okay. All right. So now I get it. You're Lubbock. Okay. It's a ick. That makes sense. Oh, me. If you ever see how it just depends in Georgia what holler you're from on what dialect you speak of, because people even from the same mountain ridge or mountain zone can be from a different holler and speak a whole different dialect. Miranda says, um, "I love the cold. I get too hot if the heat is turned up too high. I don't like hot either." I'm with you, Aquarium One. I don't think that. I enjoy watching it fall. I really do. And I may, like I said, I may get it in the morning, and if it's snowing good and it's pretty, I may have a show tomorrow morning um, and let Mrs. Steve get the grandkids up in Florida and let them see the snow fall for a while. When you get older, Mr. Steve, the cold hurts. I, I'm getting older. I know. I know. Look here. You got it, Steve. Look at there. All right. I'm a Texan now. Mr. Steve, so Luigi and Diddy, neither one of them have been sent to Rikers. My understanding, they're at that Metropolitan jail. Uh, that doesn't mean that's true, but that was my understanding. They're in whatever that one of those uh, correctional places that's not Rikers. Mr. Steve, are you following the terrorist attack in New Orleans? I mentioned it the other night from when we had, they were still trying to determine on that rental vehicle that it was similar to rental vehicle or through the same company that occurred in Las Vegas, and then they had the incident in I think it was New York, and see if they were all if there was anything linking them, unless there's been another one. Um, but I take it you're talking about uh, when the truck went past the barriers and injured all those people, and then the shooting occurred. Got some trolls here. That's cute. Oh, me. Mm-mm-mm. Stay friendly, guys. Oh, me. Oh, goodness gracious. The trolls that come in sometimes. Oh, me. Trying to stay, um, what is it? Family friendly. Mm-mm-mm. I'm sure I don't know which one of our prior trolls. What was the one last week that we had to get rid of? Um, and or the week before last. That's it has to be one of those. Vincent. Yeah, I wonder if it's Vincent from his mama's basement. Uh, uh, Josh says, "Sorry, Steve, you were driving me crazy. I couldn't bear it one more time." Oh yeah, oh Vincent, I like Vincent. Oh, I know. Yeah, Lubbock. I get it. Or Brandon. Oh, I had forgotten about Brandon. Brandon was a oh, he was consistent. But that was on Richard Allen, wasn't it? Wasn't Brandon one of the ones that was pro defense and uh, was very personal as far as or very committed and how that was going to turn out. It's Vincent wearing a diaper in his mom's face. Oh, yeah, Josh. Yeah. Brandon was pretty vocal. I mean, which I don't mind people having the passions. I don't mind. I I don't mind people going in here and coming after me. I don't really mind, but I want it to be at least use a name that is family friendly. Mm. Oh, Vincent and Brandon. Oh me. Oh, let me go look at the radar again. Let's see if the um, uh, the radar's got any better. I love watching the radar. I don't know if y'all have ever done much fishing with some of the sonar equipment. It's a lot like radar. Ooh, yeah, I think it's going to get here pretty quick. Um, let's see now. Let's see right now. Yep, it's just to the. There's some snow that just hit the Georgia border, Georgia Alabama border. So we should be getting some snow relatively. Like I said, that's quicker than what we thought. So hopefully, if it does get here that quick, then that it will be snow and won't be ice. Let's see here. Let me watch it one more time. Yep, it's at the Georgia Alabama border. So, and it's only right at 1 o'clock. So probably in the next half hour or so, the snowflakes will start falling. That's good news. Oh, Josh, don't worry about it. I didn't catch the troll right away. It ain't no big deal. Trolls are trolls. Brandon, you remember first and last name? Oh, Kelly says it may not, spending his birthday and holiday behind bars if he's guilty. Good. Absolutely. Uh-oh. Parents said that, Greenville, South Carolina is getting 3.6 inches tomorrow. Um, I don't know. Um, Greenville, I'm trying to think about where we're at on that. If that's the case, then, we'll get probably pretty close to that then. Oh, I heard, this morning, Mrs. Steve, um, I think it was like in the high 30s, and, she was, she was not happy. She said she didn't move to Florida to be in the high 30s. Oh, man. Uh, yeah, California, yeah, you're right. Needs snow, moisture, needs something. Um, Fishing with sonar is cheating. Yeah, the, fish finders. Now, some of this new stuff, that's got it almost like a video game. Um, and like I said, I came along with the technology of, back when it was just the old, flashers. Uh, and, and, but, fished a lot of tournaments in my life back when I was younger and could work and then fish tournaments. And, but some of the stuff, the technologies they have now, um, and I've got to decide if we're going to use some of that technology, in the future, if the foundation goes that route of, building a recovery boat for, trying to locate victims, in water. And, so we just have to see if we're going to use some of that technologies. But I mean, it is absolutely amazing, Lone Pony, how some of the technology has come. Don Spain says, "Hi, I'm just, uh, chatting and, driving and listening." Oh, oh man, that's terrible. We had a man that fell through the ice up here on a lake near my house, and he did not survive. It's been too warm here for ice fishing. Up north, it's safer. Now, yeah, that's something you see. What was that, um, movie, where the guys were ice fishing? Um, and, God, I can't think of the name of that movie. I'm getting old. Um, about the old guys. Oh well. As we get older, our memories fade. What was that? Somebody remember it, where they were ice fishing and they always followed each other. They were neighbors, and, they fought over the new, lady that moved into town. I can't think of the name of it. Walter, what was his name? Odd Couple. God, I can't think of it. Anyway, all right. Well, guys, I'll probably see y'all in the morning if it's snowing. I'll get with y'all, and, like I said, may have some coffee and look up some stuff across the country and just, um, see what the snow looks like. And y'all can, tell me about what, I need to do as far as building a snowman. Um, I was watching a YouTube, fisherman in northeast Georgia who found a body while fishing. I've recovered, I'm trying to think how many, in my career, in my boat, uh, double digits, I would think, for as far as, yes, that's it. Grumpy Old Men, that's it. Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon, that's it. Thank you, Anna. I could, yeah, Grumpy Old Men. What a great movie. Oh man, loved it. I don't know what time will be. It depends on what the snow's doing and everything. Um, but I had, talked to Mrs. Steve, earlier today, and, we were discussing that. I might get up, have some coffee in the morning, and, let the kids, the grandkids see it snow. So if you won't have this as a backdrop, you'll have my, window out the front of my house, if it's snowing and it's pretty. So we'll just have to see. Grumpy old men. That's it. Mojo Rising. But anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all being here tonight, and I'll see y'all hopefully tomorrow morning. And y'all stay safe out there, and see you soon, guys. Bye-bye.